Hello everyone, hope you're doing well and welcome to Talking Game. It's a match preview of West Ham United against Freiburg in the Europa League. Big game for West Ham, big game from Freiburg as well. Gonzo, what do you recall of the Bundesliga side?
Not a lot. Well, I tell you now, I thought they were far worse than I expected them to be. But I also don't think that is reflective of what they were. And we've seen that in their subsequent wins, that they've managed to, beat Thrash. They've beaten, obviously, both Olympiacos and Paqueta 5-0 recently. And we struggled in the last game against Paqueta, and I felt we weren't truly convincing in either leg against Olympiacos. Of course, we lost one of them. At the actual game itself, I didn't find them very impressive at all, Gio. But as I say, I do understand that that's not reflective of them. I mean, they've lost. Last time they lost in the Bundesliga was the start of November. But I thought they were poor against us.
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought they were very underwhelming in the game over in Germany. I expected better from them. I don't know if perhaps the occasion got to them and they were a little bit rabbits in the headlights. I mean, we were good that night.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a couple of months ago now, but that was sort of before the performances got worse. We were pretty strong at that time. Went over there. It was a very good performance from us. Rotated a couple of players for the game as well. But I remember being a bit surprised that even though the scoreline was 2-1, it was suggested it was a close game. I remember being surprised at how comfortable it was for us on that evening as well. You know, Paqueta with a fantastic header, then knackered got the goal as well. So they are a good side. There's no doubt about it. They, like you said, they've been in good nick recently, unbeaten in the last 4-0 competitions, won the last couple of games 1-0 in the Bundesliga. So they're a bit goal shy domestically over the last few games, but certainly in European football, they've been banging in the goals. Was there any players that stood out for you in the game over there?
No, not at all. I mean, Paqueta was because if you remember, he had a goal ruled out as well. He was so head and shoulders above everyone else. It was hard not to just sort of watch and marvel at him. They had nobody on his level at all. And I remember going into it. I remember us doing the preview and saying this is going to be the toughest game in the group, which it hasn't. Olympiacos have been our toughest team up to now. But I do suspect this one coming up now. Yeah, it was 1-0 against Wolfsburg at the weekend. The only team they've lost to actually recently really is Leipzig. And aside from that, they're in pretty good form, 8th in the Bundesliga. And they've got their tails up. They're the team in form. They're not the team losing 5-0 at the moment. They're the team dishing out the 5-0 thrashing. So, yeah, I think we're about to face a very, very different team.
Yeah, I think it'll be a difficult game for us. We both got the same thing at stake here, but the pressure's on them. They've got to be the one that wins. The draw suits us perfectly fine for this one. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach the game, because perhaps, we don't know this, I'm just speculating and wondering, they've got fixture congestion too. They've still got, league football, European football, league football, European football. They've got a smaller squad than we do. So arguably, if they're content with finishing second in the group stages and they don't mind going into the playoffs, they might actually rest one or two players for this one, because they've got a few injuries in that squad as well. You know, long-term ones. I know the captain's broke his arm. He's out for a while too. So he's also got fatigue injuries. The advantage is, so they've also got a winter break coming up as well. So they might think, well, we've got 2 weeks where we shut down, so we're okay. We can recuperate then, whereas that's not something West Ham have got there. So it'll be interesting to see what Freiburg starting 11 turns up. I remember Salih was troubling us quite a lot, got the goal as well, but I thought he was their biggest threat when we played him a couple of months ago. Gregorish is the man in form, though, 5 goals in the last 3, including a hat-trick against Paqueta in the last game. But he's also scored in the previous 2 games when they won 1-0. And Roll is the player that stands out for me. Never heard of him until this season. To be fair, he hasn't been in the Freiburg team until this season. 21-year-old centre midfielder, gets forward really well. Quite tall. He's quite tall for somebody that's sort of technical. A bit like Paqueta. Paqueta's quite tall for sort of, when you look at the ability and how he plays, you don't always associate it with players having a bit of height about them as well. But certainly Rawls got it. 21 years old, finally got his first goal for Freiburg, got his first assist for Freiburg as well. And he's someone that stood out to me in the last few games for them, someone to keep an eye on as well. Anyway, are you expecting this to be our most difficult test yet in this group stage?
No, because I think Olympiacos was. And if this is more difficult, then it means we're going to lose. And I hope we don't. I'm hoping we get a draw. But I think it's going to be a really, really tough game. I thought the first game against Olympiacos, but they deservedly won, actually, Olympiacos. I think that's been our biggest test. yeah, if this lot play better than Olympiacos did, we're just going to lose. It's as simple as that.
I think the defeat to Olympiacos though was a bit self-inflicted. I do feel that we underestimated them when we went to their place, because when we played them at our place, granted it was only by a sole goal as well, and it was a bit late on. I thought it was one-way traffic, though. I did think we just Olympiacos at London Stadium was a completely different kettle of fish altogether than playing over in Greece. I think that maybe we just took it a little bit lightly and had one eye on the Premier League game. I can't remember who it was, but I remember when the lineup came out and we had Ings up front, it was a bit, I'm not sure about this one, Dave. And we obviously went on to lose, and we had to bring those players on that we were trying to rest. We had to bring them on anyway. So I think this game will be our toughest one so far. I think Freiburg are far a better team than Olympiacos, as they've shown. They thumped them 5-0, as you said. So I think that's the real measure of the ability of the two teams. I think we just didn't see the best version of Freiburg, and we saw the best version of Olympiacos, because when I spoke to the Olympiacos fan, he said, that's the best we played all season, that was. And I thought, brilliant, nice one. You turn up for us. So I think this will be the hardest one. And there's a lot riding on this game as well. It's pressure on both sides. And then you have to take into consideration the situation surrounding West Ham and the squad at the moment, which, well, we'll get onto that right now. But just for those who don't know, West Ham just need a draw on Thursday night. A draw or a win for the Hammers will mean we go straight into the last 16 of the Europa League. If we were to lose, Freiburg would clinch top spot. They would go into the last 16, and West Ham would go into the playoff round, where we would face a side that finishes third in their Champions League group stage. So we'll also have 2 extra fixtures, but also we'll face a team that's currently played in the Champions League. We'll have to wait and see who those are. Anyway, Gonzo, would you like some West Ham team news?
Yes, please.
I mean, this is a bit of a difficult one because it's a bit of guesswork. At the time of recording, the players are off. The players this is their second day off because of the virus / illness / winter flu and winter going around the camp at the minute. But there's a lot of players have got the cold at West Ham. Alvarez missed a game at the Craven Cottage due to illness. Emerson was left on the bench and then brought on despite being ill. But now started and struggled. David Moyes sat on his chair the entire second half because of the illness. I'm not even kidding about that, by the way. That was true. David Moyes was so ill, he sat on his seat and didn't get up for the second half. So there's a lot of illness going around. Then there's a lot of fatigue going around as well. Areola missed the game on Sunday due to an injury, so we don't know if Areola's back, never mind if he's ill or not. So it's a bit of a tricky one to do, Gonzo. I think what we're going to have to do is sort of a little bit of guesswork as to who we think is ill, who we think is available. So it'd be interesting to get your team. And then I'm sure when David Moyes does his press conference over Zoom because of the...
but he'd definitely be sat down for all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if he's ill enough. I mean, he might sit there and thinking, you probably don't want to put your microphones here. You might want to give it a wipe down when you're finished. So we've got sick David Moyes press conference coming up probably tomorrow. But anyway, Gonzo, right, what we want to see. Who would you like to see in goal on Thursday evening?
Do you know what? I'd dodge that if I was Moyes. Even if I was well, you are allowed to get out. These press commitments. You have to do them unless you're under injury or you're unwell or something like that. He'd get away with that. And I think if it was me, I just wouldn't do it. I'd be phoning. Hello, Sky. I'd be phoning him. I'd be telling the press officer, I'm not doing this. In goal, I would choose Areola because, as we understand it, it was an injury and not an illness. So, as you say, this is complete guesswork. My team and Geo's team is complete guesswork. As a lot of supposition here. So I'm assuming, here's the first one, I'm assuming he doesn't have the flu. So I'm going to put him in there because I think it would, I don't blame Fabianski for the 5-0, but I think if you let 5 goals in, you probably need a bit of a break. And he's probably caught whatever it is anyway. So Areola in goal.
I'd go with Fabianski, despite conceding 5. I don't think he did anything wrong against Fulham. I thought he was excellent against Spurs, and I'd keep him in for this one. And also, I think if you play Areola, you cause yourself a bit of an issue when we go to play Wolves, because the original plan was Fabianski's the cup keeper and Areola's the league keeper. Then we go to play Wolves. It's like, well, do you bring Fabianski? Have we swapped the roles up now? Because technically Areola's just had one of Fabianski. I know Fabianski played against Spurs, but that was forced upon us due to injury. So I think for this one, I'd keep Fabianski in, and it allows an easy decision later on to bring Areola in for the Wolves one and say, hey, there was no issue here. Areola's been brilliant this season. He's still our league keeper. He was just injured. Just like that's why you're in goal against Freiburg. You're the cup keeper. So I think that's why I would stick with Lucas Fabianski. Moving into defence. I mean, I'm speaking about illness and fatigue. We've also got poor performers. We
have. You're absolutely right. Let me tell you mine, and I'll give you my reasoning. Soufal, because I don't think attitude was a problem. He didn't, I thought ability probably was against Fulham, Soufal, but I thought he fought and he tried to get forward. He didn't look ill. I'm not giving a diagnosis here like I'm a doctor. He didn't look ill to me. I think if you're ill, you haven't got that much energy level. So I didn't. So he plays. Soufal plays for me. Zuma looked like he was broken and ill, and fatigued, and out of he had everything, right?
And robbed.
Yeah, everyone's got given 2 days off. Zuma got given 4. So Mavropanos plays instead of Zuma. Gerd didn't look ill to me. Didn't look ill. Didn't look fatigued. He just looked crap. Abominably crap. Atrocious, actually. You cannot play like that and then play in the next game. Well, those are my rules anyway. This is if I'm the manager. So he's dropped. It's a simple dropped for being crap, not because you're ill. So Tilo Kehrer comes in. I'm assuming Tilo Kehrer as well, and fine. He's had the lemsip. It does make me laugh, actually. There's a bit of illness going around at the moment. I've got to say this. One thing that's always made me laugh is when someone is ill, how people always try and give them advice and say, well, what you want to do is you want to get a bit of get yourself a lemsip or get yourself some lemon and honey, stuff like it's new news all the time. You're like, all right. So there's this shop down the end of the road called the Pharmacy. You want to get yourself down there. So anyway, so I'm assuming that they don't need a lemsip. And for left back, I'm assuming this is a ridiculous
lot of assumptions here.
It's a ridiculous preview, and I do apologise. I'm assuming that Emerson is ill, and he has the lurgy. Okay, so for that reason, I'm going to bring Ollie Scholes in for this game because we need to learn. Cresswell, we discussed this on Patreon. Cresswell can't play again, apart from his, when he comes and claps the fans in the last game of the season. He just can't. And so Ollie Scholes, we need to find out if he can do it or not. We need to find out now because, let's be fair, it's not going to be the last time that West Ham either play crap, get fatigued, or get decimated by a bug. There's lots of it around at the moment. Let's find out if Scholes can do it. So that's my back 4.
I agree with your first 3. I put Emerson in because I think this is an important game. I mean, I have to be honest with you. We didn't actually know. Scrap that. I'm going to change it.
You've diagnosed him as being well. Your Dr. Geo says Emerson's well.
Because he was well enough to be on the bench and come on at half time. I mean, he played like he was ill. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't very good against Fulham. But I'm willing to assume that he was actually sick and that he did struggle because he did look like he was struggling, but also he looked like he couldn't be arsed as well. However, I have to confess, when you're bringing a player on at 3-0 down, there's only so much motivated they're going to be. What you bring, come on, we can get back in. He's probably not going to believe you. He's going to go, no, we're not, Dave. We're not. We're out. The game's done. Why am I even coming on? I don't feel well. What? He probably didn't want to be there on Sunday. And I don't blame him because I don't think anyone wanted to be there for the second half on Sunday, bar Fulham players and Fulham fans. I would actually put Ben Johnson in at left back. I thought he was decent.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought he was decent. Was he spectacular? No, but I thought he was decent. I thought there was enough promise there to say, oh, hang on a minute, maybe he can actually offer something in some games. Now, I think key to that is that you don't fling him in when we play Arsenal after Christmas on the 28th. We don't play Arsenal, chuck him in at right back up against Martinelli or left back up against Saka, and then we go, he struggled against Saka, didn't he? Well, a lot of players do. So I think this fixture, as much as Freiburg's a good team and they are strong down the sides, I think having pretty strong players around him gives them an opportunity. And for some reasons to yourself, which we need a second choice left back. Now, obviously, potentially we can go buy one in January. There's only so much business we'll do in January. And if we've decided we need a striker, a left winger, possibly a centre back, well, left back's finding itself pretty down the priority list already, and the window's not even opened yet. So I think if you can find an answer from within this squad to get you through to the summer, and like you said, give someone an opportunity, whether it's Ben Johnson to earn a new contract or Ollie Skiles to earn a squad place for next season, then this is maybe one of the few games you're going to get away with it and when you take everything into context. Moving into midfield.
Can I just say another thing?
Say what you want. It's your preview as well.
Thank you very much.
That's enough, though. Midfield.
There was this suggestion. So I'm glad you mentioned about David Moyes spent the whole second half sat down. He's so fatigued and he's so knackered, right, that he sat down. Yet supposedly he's supposed to have lost his temper at half time and torn up the dressing room. Thankfully, it's Fulham's dressing room. And I read this bit about him. So they can't both be true. He's not got so, or maybe he just knackered himself out with a tantrum.
Yeah, maybe he was tired.
But it was the cups. I don't know if you read about the cups and saucers. It's just tickled me pink. It really has. The cups and saucers went flying around at half time, and I was just. I was.
Is this true? Is this like? I know you're not saying it's true. I mean,
it's all rubbish.
Is the rumor true? Is what I'm saying. Like, is it?
I read the rumor, and I'll tell you, it was on one of the things. It was on the One Football app, and all the notes it was one. Looking at the cups and saucers were flying around, and it just made me laugh. I had this thought because my nan used to have a tea set. She had a lovely tea set. It was only for best when special people come around. So if I had a cup of tea around me nan's, I used to get a mug, right? But if anyone sort of special came round, they'd have the cup and the saucer. It just made me laugh that David Moyes got his best tea set out and a saucer, a little biscuit, little spoon on the side. So I thought that was quite interesting that this David Moyes has thrown around someone's best bone china. I think. This is really hard. Right, okay. The trouble is neither Souček nor James Ward-Prowse deserve to play. But someone's got to. Souček's slightly more on the naughty step than James Ward-Prowse. They both got really low marks in our Patreon player ratings. But James Ward-Prowse did 2 really good corners and a stinging free kick. So that gives him, and he's slightly less oil tankerish. So he gets him, all right? Thomas Souček's dropped. We have to deal with fatigue and sickness and all the rest of it. I'm going to assume that Edson Alvarez is okay. And he's better now because he will have had 4 days off, right? So he's better. He's had his Lemsip.
Well, 2.5. He actually travelled to Craven Cottage.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he went there to play.
Maybe he made the tea. Cups of...
Well, I think he's possibly made everyone ill. I think that's the problem. I think he was ill, and then he
used the same spoon. He licked the spoon and then he stirred everyone's tea with it and with the saucers.
Well, the Mexicans aren't much of kissy, are they? Do you know, like Italians? Someone does something good, yeah, well done. It's like, do you know, we in England it's fist bumps and bum slap. Well done. Pat on the bum in a fist bump. Well done. You ruffle your hair, maybe, depending who you are. The Mexicans aren't. Italians are more, well done, kiss forehead. Luckily, Mexicans aren't quite like that.
No, they don't do it. I haven't really thought about it. What do they do then? A bit more macho, the Mexicans, you're saying?
Yeah, shot of tequila each. Hey, well done.
Oh. Well, maybe you haven't got much contact. I doubt it. I don't want to lay the blame at him. I will lay the blame at somebody else's.
I'm blaming
Danny Ings. Let's go with Danny Ings. He normally gets the blame for everything. Let's blame Danny Ings for spreading the virus around. Allegedly, it's a joke, by the way. I'm going to go with Alvarez and Ward-Prowse and Lucas Paqueta.
Yeah, I would go with that 3 as well. I feel like it's wrong though.
It's all wrong. This whole preview's wrong.
I'm thinking like we can't keep playing Ward-Prowse. We can't keep playing Paqueta. You know, apparently Paqueta had a bit of an injury when we were playing Fulham, and I mean he's been playing like he's been injured for about a month now or something. It's been quite a few games now. He's looked injured, so it's like, well, do we leave it at Paqueta? And you think, well, who can we bring in? There's not really anyone that I think, yeah, let's get him into the team kind of thing. And this is where, you know, as much as I complain about David Moyes not rotating the team, when it comes to what I'd like to see, I'm also like, no rotation, please. The players aren't good enough. I think Alvarez has to play. Ward-Prowse has to play. We scored. One thing we can't ignore is we scored from a set piece against them last time. Paqueta scored from a header and open play. So I think we've maybe discovered a weakness in that Freiburg team. I want to capitalise on that, and Ward-Prowse is probably the man to do it. So him and Alvarez in there. So I would leave out Paqueta because he's supposedly carrying a knock. He's out of form, and just try and give him he's going to have to be on the bench, but try and not use him. So hopefully against Wolves, he's refreshed and he's a little bit better. So I'd play Fornals in that number 10 role. I know it's going to be an unpopular decision, but you know something? Here's another one. I thought Fornals was okay against Fulham. He wasn't good. Again, a bit like John said, he wasn't spectacular. I thought he was all right. I don't think he did that much wrong, actually. He didn't necessarily do anything great, but he didn't do too much wrong. And we've extended his contract for a year now. And I know it's to protect the value and so we can sell him for a fee in the summer. But instead of doing it and saying to him, we've done it so we can sell you in 7 months' time, how about we actually extend it and tell him, you're a damn fine player, you can get back into form. We've got to show him a bit of belief, actually, because Fornals, on his day, is a good player. So let's try and get him becoming a good player again, so that because we're going to need him when Kudus goes to African nations. He's the one that's most likely to come back into the starting 11 at this rate, because we've seen that. Palace, he came off the bench. Spurs, he came off the bench. So he's the 12th man, if you like. Then let's bloody play him. So I put Fornals in the number 10. That leaves us with 3 players each. Who's your trio?
My trio is going to be Jared Bowen, Maxwell Cornet, and Weimar Bummer.
I've got 2 of those.
He's knackered. We're killing it, Kudus. Sorry.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you always say. I agree. Kudus doesn't start.
Well, go on. Well, yeah. Go on. You say it. Go on.
No, I completely agree with what you always say, which is he's knackered. He was shattered against Spurs. He looked shattered after about 5 minutes against Fulham. Understandable. Played a lot of minutes, a lot of travelling since the international break. He's not really had a break. So I think for this one, I would not start Kudus. I think we need him fit and firing because we don't have him for much longer until he goes to African Nations. But Thursday is our first game. We've got 4 games in 9 days, and that's the first one. So we've got 4 games in the next 9 days from Thursday on. That is a hell of a lot of football. Not much resting time. No time on the training ground. So we need to plan ahead a little bit here. And I think if we can leave 3 or 4 senior players or starting 11 players out of this one, I think it's important because worst case scenario, we lose, but we still go through. I know it's 2 extra games. I know it's a playoff round. It's not ideal, but that's the worst case scenario.
Yes,
here.
Of course.
It's not losing your route. We're already through. It's just which round we're going into is what's at stake here. So even the worst case scenario isn't that bad. So I would leave out Kudus. I've gone Bowen, Cornet as a striker / right winger, whichever one between him and Bowen, and then Ben Ram on the left. I thought he looked all right when he came on against Fulham. Now the standards were low, but he brought energy. He was direct. He tried. I think, and he's had a couple of okay-ish games recently. So I'd put Ben Rama in because again, when Kudus goes to African Nations on the assumption Ben Rama doesn't get recalled to the Algeria squad, he's still going to be here. So let's start to try and get 1 or 2 of these players into form, and I think Ben Rama is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, the old saying is cutting off your nose to spite your face. David Moyes' refusal to play Cornet is hurting David Moyes. He really is. He's too stubborn. He's too stubborn and he's too unforgiving. And he needs to sort it out because every time he doesn't do it, he's having to play someone that's either knackered or someone that maybe is not up to the job, like Danny Ings, for instance. He needs to forgive and forget. And even if he can't do that, maybe just be a little bit selfish for himself and just think, David, you may not like this guy for whatever happened last season, but you're harming yourself here. You really are. There is a fast player who the last time he played got an assist. He's tricky. He's fast. He's got some ability. And it gives you one less position to worry about, be that as the striker, whatever one of those front line you want to rest or you feel has got the lurgy, you got the unless Cornet's got the lurgy, he might be the one. It might be his fault. Then play him.
It's because he went to France.
He got it
18 months ago. That's why the players are ill now. Because he went over to France.
French strain of COVID. I can't say that, can you? You can't. Because they changed. Remember, it first started off in China, and you couldn't say that, and you couldn't. They said, "Oh, you can't call it the Chinese." And then remember the Delhi strain, and they said you can't have it. You can't call it the Delhi strain. You got to be called Delta. But the one they did allow, when one popped up in Kent, you can keep that. Hey, we'll blame the Kentish. I didn't say that correctly. So the old French strain of COVID. He's brought that back. He's infected everyone, and
well, I agree with you. Moyes needs to stop acting like a Kent and start using Cornet a little bit more. And I think it's an easy win for him with Cornet on Thursday, assuming Cornet is okay. And there's a lot of assumptions, a lot of asterisks next to the players that we've selected today, which is if they're not sick. We won't actually find out. Now, the one advantage that we as a fan base are going to have, but also Freiburg as a team are going to have, is before a European game, there's always an open training session. So actually tomorrow, the journalists will see the players out training. So we'll get a bit of an idea as to who's maybe okay and who perhaps isn't okay ahead of Thursday. Moyes will probably play it to his advantage to leave a few players in the gym that's actually going to be all right for Thursday, because we know what Moyes is like, a little bit sneaky.
Imagine if one of them that he puts in the gym has got the old virus, and everyone that was in the gym catches it. Don't. That was my plan.
2 meters and wash your hands, singing "Happy Birthday." That's
none of that Italian kissing.
Yeah, that's the rules at West Ham.
Yeah, Emerson, you can't. Oh, actually, Emerson, you're not really Italian, are you? You're Brazilian. You can go in.
And when you go to the supermarket, you're only allowed to go a one-way system up and down the aisles, because that prevents you getting ill.
Sanitize your trolley, will you?
If everyone goes in the same direction, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Everyone's spraying each other in a team talk. What are you doing that much? They probably have smashed all the cutlery, so they're probably having a drink out of the spray bottles.
Well, the only person doing any spraying on Sunday was Tom Kearney, with then passes around Craven Cottage. Anyway, despite our sick team, we are ready to discuss the game in just a second. Before we do, this video is sponsored by BetMGM. They have a competition over there called Golden Goals. Now, it's free to download and it's free to sign up. However, it is a betting app, so you have to be 18 plus, and please bet responsibly. But you do not need to deposit any money in order to play Golden Goals. And there's a jackpot of £2 million up for grabs. However, if you do wish to have a flutter, a bit like myself, you can deposit £10 and get £40 of free bets as well. I used my free bet last weekend. I did a fourfold. I did Bournemouth to win at Old Trafford. Cha-ching. I did Aston Villa to beat Arsenal. Cha-ching. Did Everton to beat Chelsea. Cha-ching. I had one more team to go to win £1,900 from a free £10 bet on BetMGM. West Ham beat Fulham. Hey, there you go. So West Ham last weekend cost me £1,900, and the weekend before that, had we beat Crystal Palace 2-1, I would have been able to cash out an £11,000 returned bet. So West Ham are in the bag. I'm not backing West Ham anymore. That's it. I've stopped. A lot of people
they ruin your bets and your weekend. Use the link below, please. I know you've come from Hammers Chat. Does us a massive favour if you download from the link below at the BetMGM.
Yeah. So like God said, use the link, but also Golden Goals free to play. But they also give away a few grand every week as well. Unlike other places that do a similar thing where you have to get all 6 right in order to win the money, the top guy, whoever's the best of the weekend gets a payout. So you don't need all 6 correct scores. You just need that to activate the £2 million jackpot. Also, Gonzo, are you feeling confident?
No.
It's kind of hard to be with A, a hiding, and B, uncertainty over a lot of the players, well, all the players, really.
It is. I mean, you can take some hope for it, which is maybe all this stuff is true.
I believe it. For what it's worth, I do believe it.
Okay, so we're talking about the illness here. By the way, it's if that is, then there's an opportunity to recover. There's an opportunity to feel better. If everybody had totally had the stuffing knocked out of them, and they were operating, whatever, even if they're operating at 50%, then it's got to be better, isn't it? It can only get better, you'd sort of hope. Perhaps you don't have the surprise element anymore, and maybe they can throw stuff. I often wonder, probably reveal a little bit too much about myself here. You know, like when people have got an injury and they give them like a painkiller injection, right? And they sort of play through it. This is probably doping. You probably can't do this, but can they give them an inject, like some adrenaline or something to get over the cold? Are you allowed to do that? That's the strong Beechams, by the way.
Lemon sip, that'll do.
Absolutely. You'd have to tell me the recipe. I've never heard about that before.
Into them.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. Let's get some Beecham's coursing through their veins. Get them out. Get them out there. Get them dosed up. I think they can. So there is some. I think we can get better, basically. So there is some encouragement, but it's hard to be confident.
I think they need a bit of the old Patrick Vieira vapor rub on their shirt. You remember Patrick Vieira would always
ruined his shirt.
It could be like August; he'd still have vapor rub on his shirt.
Do you imagine if you're a crowd? Do you know you hold up Patrick? Can I please? He never had it. No one ever said, Patrick, can I please have your shirt? He probably threw it into the crowd. It probably came back. Not even that. Ruined it.
Maybe we need people at the stadium on Thursday to have signs instead of saying "Can I have your shirts?" in hand sanitizer station.
Bad noise.
Come over here. Gonzo's going to squirt on you. Come on.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Merry Christmas.
That made you feel better, Lucas. Come on over. Anyway, no, I'm not confident because there's far too many. I mean, we've just done a preview. Essentially, every single player at West Ham right now could be out of the game on Thursday, but likewise, they could also be available for the game. And we just don't know. And I don't think we will find out. Like I said, we'll get an indicator of that open training session tomorrow. But it's a difficult one for David Moyes to plan for this game as well. And it was already difficult. If you take the illness out of it and assume there is no illness, so you've got Areola's injured and you've got fatigue, it's already difficult for him to decide what to do for this game. Do I rest this player? Do I rest that player? How seriously do I take it? Because whilst it's an important game, we only, and I use that lightly, we only need a draw. A draw is a good result for us on Thursday, so we don't need to win. The pressure is on Freiburg. That means they will come and attack us because they've got nothing to lose. Well, I say we've got very little to lose, nor do they. If they lose or draw, they go into playoff round, which is what they're doing currently anyway. So they might as well come hell for leather and throw the kitchen sink at us on Thursday night because they've only got something to achieve. But that might just suit us. I thought we were able to play quite counter-attacking football in Germany. It helped us. I think we might be allowed to do the same again.
Yeah. This
Thursday because Freiburg have to attack us. Essentially, it's almost like we're 1-0 up before the game starts, if that makes sense. It's almost like we've got the advantage, which we do. So they need to attack us from the off. So that'll suit us. So I am somewhat, I wouldn't say I'm confident or optimistic. However, I feel confident that we're going to get a draw.
Yes.
Which is as good as a win for us on Thursday. So in a weird way, I am confident, but not that we're going to win the match, that we're going to get what we need and get out of there. But a large part of it obviously depends on player availability and player fitness. If the players were still ill, would you, I don't want to say throw the game, but in the last couple of seasons at this point, we've already won the group and we've played Scarles, Mubama. We've given the youngsters an opportunity and just rested to complete first 11. Would you do that, knowing that obviously you're likely to lose and then go into the playoff round? Would you risk the players, or would you rest them up completely for the Wolves game on Sunday and play the youngsters and possibly?
Yes, if I knew there was illness. See, you got with this 2 extra games, you do have the benefit of a transfer window, and you also to bolster the squad, and you also got the benefit of these young players. But I've spoken a lot about the young players. It's really worth bearing in mind. A lot of these guys they're too young for under 21s. So they're not a bunch of 21, 22-year-old players. They are phenomenal. They are, as a team, they are even better than the teams that went before them. They're the best everywhere, right? Be it in Europe, in the cups, everywhere. These are phenomenal. And I could not rate them more highly as a group. However, they are, there's some 17, 18-year-olds in there as well. That being said, I'd still be inclined to give some of them a go. I'm glad you mentioned it, actually, because this is David Moyes' own fault in central midfield. Okay, that he's got at the moment. We've already discussed it recently. I think if Freddie Potts was still here, he would be playing. I would have even put him in my team, by the way, just because he's that little bit older. And I think the moment Moyes his loan spell at Wickham has done well for him, particularly early on.
Got Connor Coventry.
I was about to mention Connor Coventry. The moment that David Moyes realised he wasn't going to use Connor Coventry, he probably should have done the thing that, he's not going to use him, and there aren't any set of circumstances where he will use him. And anyway, so that's my point. I would have done that with Freddie Potts, whereas I'm clearly not prepared to play Connor Coventry in this one. Otherwise, I would have put him in. Orford's, playing really, really well. I mean, tremendously well. And he's the guy who looks at midfield. I mean, you've got Earthy playing there as well, but we don't really have a position for him unless you're saying we'll take Paqueta out and we'll put Earthy in there. Moyes just won't do it. He won't, as skillful as he is. But I absolutely would. I'd possibly even draft Casey in and see, and see if we could do something there. I'd either use Chesters or Scarles, and then I'd probably play Ben Johnson on one of them, one of the flanks, and one of the young wing backs on the other one. I'd probably bring Orford in. I'd probably bring Kudus in. I might even bring Marshall in. I'd probably would put a smattering of them in there.
You can't bring in Marshall.
I can't, can I? Of course, because he's not been here long enough.
That's us kicked out of Europe. Nice one, Gonzo.
Cheers, mate. Hey, look, I'm the manager. You said if I'm the manager. You didn't say if I'm the administrator. All right. You know what I mean? You didn't say I'm Karen Brady. Fortunately.
That's a parcel coming to Gonzo from West Ham next week with Alvarez coughing on it prior to parcel and packaging it up. Open up that free T-shirt we just sent you, Gonzo. That's got the nasty fix on it. That one. That's full of the COVID, isn't it? That one. Anyway, whatever. You get the idea. Yes, I'd put some young. Yeah, I would as well. I think, and I would just be completely honest with the fan base as well. If that was the case, I'd say, look, the senior players that are playing are the ones that are fit enough to play. The rest of them are ill. So, but what I would say is also put square pegs in square holes. So if Emerson and Creswell can't play, put Scarles left back. Don't be shoving a baller left back because you don't trust the youngster. Right. Do not start. If you've got 11 senior players, put them into the right positions and then fill up the blanks with the youngsters that can actually go in there. Now, of course, some of the youngsters might be ill because a lot of them do train with the first team, so they might also be sick as well.
Assuming those teenagers, they don't catch anything, do they?
Yeah, damn the second oldest squad in Premier League. Otherwise, this flu wouldn't impact us. They certainly get it. Their players are like, nah, nothing here. We're fine to play. Anyway, there you go. Score prediction. I keep forgetting this recently.
1-1. Yeah, I'll take the draw as well.
Yeah, I think 1-1-2. So there you go. If you've enjoyed this preview, please do drop a like on it, subscribe to Hammers Chat. You fancy a little flutter or even just get involved in the free-to-play Golden Goals. The link to download the app is in the description below, but please do use that app. Myself and Gonzo will catch you up on Thursday night with the build-up show where we will discover who's ill and who's playing, or perhaps both. See you then.